Hey, what's up YouTube? Pallab here from nothingwired.com, and today we're talking about the brand new Canon EOS 80D. This is the successor of the very popular 70D. This one cost about $1,200 body only in the US and just under 79,000 Indian rupees here in India. You get it in different kit options. The one we have is with the 18 to 55 mm IS lens that costs just under 85,000 Indian rupees here. You also get it with the 18 to 135 mm lens, and if you can spare some money, 18 to 135 mm is much better and sharper than the 18 to 55 mm, and also it has more range. By the way, when you open the box, it comes in a big box. When you open the box, on top you'll find the usual stuff like the manual, the warranty card, and couple of training books. And then once you go inside, you'll find the camera body itself, the battery, the kit lens or whatever kit version that you buy, your shoulder strap, the charging adapter, the charging cable, and at least with the Indian units you get an 8GB class 10 SD card for free. Talking about the body, it's heavy, and it's heavy because it has very high quality material and it's weather seal. It's a mid-range body, so obviously that weather sealing definitely helps, and it's heavier than some of the entry-level DSLRs like the 1300D for example. And despite of being heavy, it's ergonomically perfect. I like this groove, the hole here, the grip is what this called. It's very deep, and that's why despite of being slightly on the heavier side, I can actually use this with one hand for a longer period of time. I think it weighs roughly about 730 grams including the SD card and the battery. But when you start adding the lenses, the weight starts adding up very quickly. 730 grams plus, even if the 18 to 55 mm is very light that way, but the combined weight gets close to about a kilo. And when you attach an 18 to 135 mm length, we are talking much excess to 1 kilo of weight, and that gets difficult specifically when you do vlogging with one hand with this camera. One of the main reasons, one of the main areas where the 80D would excel clearly. Ports and button wise, it's almost identical to the 70D. You get the same flippy articulating 270-degree articulating touchscreen. It's a capacitive touchscreen, amazing touch response. One thing I absolutely love, and can love you for this, they put a headphone jack along with an external mic jack this time, and it's on the front, so even when you flip and turn the display, your sound check does not get interrupted. I wished I had that on the 70D. The 80D finally gets me a headphone jack. The 80D started where the 70D left off, and it actually kind of refined some of the feature where we wish the 70D had. For example, I just talked about the headphone jack. Not only that, even the dual pixel autofocus system, which was the USP of the 70D and great for video recording for continuous autofocus, that algorithm is also much better here. It's sharper and more accurate, and it almost works every time, even under low light. Now talking about the low light, the autofocus point here, the coverage is great, but the number of autofocus point has increased to 45 from only 19 on the 70D. Not only that, all those 45 autofocus points are cross types, man. And the center one is actually dual cross type, so it's even more sensitive. It's sensitive up to a level of -3 EV. So almost even at the pitch dark, even if you get that slight amount of light, this guy can focus on that. But you have to have a fast lens for this, obviously f/2.8 for the center one. Another thing I wished was there with the 70D, but this guy has, is the HDR video. It's absolutely necessary in low light situation, in situations where your exposure is not consistent. For example, you go to a launch event of a phone or any gadget or anything, you need a camera which actually compensate for those incandescent light or very inconsistent light that you have indoors. So for that, the HDR video is very important. So overall, an extremely feature-rich camera, the 80D is, and I love it for still, but I love it more for video, and this guy is hell of a vlogging camera, I'll tell you. Navigating through the user interface is very easy and smooth thanks to the that capacitive touchscreen. You need 4 buttons to mainly get started with the user interface: the menu button, the info button, Q, and the playback button. The menu is pretty well laid out and user intuitive. However, we would have probably liked a dedicated video tab out there, considering this camera is also aimed at the video enthusiast. The info button will mainly let you see some of those infos, not customize. To be able to customize some of those infos, you need to press the Q button first and then go to each of those functions to be able to toggle them. And the playback button obviously is to see your image and videos on the screen. These 4 buttons will get you started with the user interface, but navigating through each of these sections is very easy thanks to the touchscreen again. The autofocus is fast, accurate, and consistent for most part. Of all of the 7 shots that I took, only 1 was out of focus. I also like the way the autofocus area is rendered. The articulating LCD lets you take photos from some unusual angle for which you otherwise would have had to dirty your clothes. The color reproduction is pleasant with very natural saturation and hue. The brand new 24MP sensor has great dynamic range. See the amount of details I could pull out from literally a hopeless situation. You'll probably never get such a low light scenario in real life. Another thing to take note of is that the focus was still spot on even under such dark. The stills are pretty clean till ISO 1600. ISO 3200 starts deteriorating a bit. I would not recommend going up to 6400 or beyond. The video part of the 8TD is as and probably more important than the still performance, as it had to take the performance of the incredible 7TD forward. It does that, and how? The dual pixel CMOS autofocus system is even better with the improved algorithms. Racking focus even here is also a pleasure thanks to the capacitive touchscreen. I like how the focus shift happens in a smooth cinematic way. Otherwise also the videos are sharp end to end. So then guys, what do you think? Would you buy the Canon EOS 8TD? Well, I'll tell you what, as I just told you, this is a hell of a vlogging camera. And let's talk about the features that actually makes it the perfect vlogging camera. Number one, that flippy articulating 270-degree touchscreen. Combine that with the brilliant dual pixel autofocus system, which is even more accurate this time, and you get a great rack focusing functionality, or just shift focus here and there very quickly. Also, the continuous autofocus system in general is very fast, but it's not reckless. It's fast and smooth to give you a very cinematic effect. Number two is that now it has a headphone jack, so you can monitor your sound while recording your videos. Number three, because of that flippy screen, you can actually make video of yourself, typical vlogging style videos. Although because of the weight of the camera, you might not be able to hold it for too long with one hand, or maybe even with 2 hands. It's where the ceiling, and combine that with that 45 point all cross type autofocus system and 7 FPS burst mode. This camera is a great outdoor sports and wildlife camera as well. But most importantly, this is probably the best value for money camera Canon has ever produced. The feature that you get for the money you pay, both still and video. Generally till now, we have had DSLRs which are really good for still, and then we have the mirrorless, let's say from Sony or Panasonic, which are really great in videos, but none of them were equally good and all-rounder in still and videos. I think I finally found a camera which is equally good in still and video, and that's the Canon EOS 8TD. If you like this video, please hit the like button, ask anything related to this, and we'll try to answer them all. And please subscribe to our channel and share this video to share the love.